Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So welcome to our continuing reading of study of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, which is Prabhupada calls Divinity and Divine Service. And we're up to text 3. Before we go any further, we'll say this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So in this chapter, it starts with a Vyasa Uvacha, who's speaking, but it's the narration. Sutta Goswami, the text says, the first text, Ugrashrava, that's a name for Sutta Goswami. It means sort of powerful to hear. Ugrashrava, Sutta Goswami, the son of Romaharshana, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. You remember they may ask 6 questions. And Sutta Goswami says, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage, Shukadev Goswami," also just called Shuka. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, sannyas, leaving home without undergoing reformation by sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by the higher castes, his father, Vyasadeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, "O my son!" Indeed, only the trees which were absorbed in the same feeling of separation echoed in response to the bereaved fathers. We read a purport where the trees actually were feeling that. And then okay, now we're here. Text 3. This is obeisances to Shuka, who's in this verse called Vyasa Sunu. Sunu is another name for son. Vyasa Sunu, the son of Vyasa. So it goes like this. Yaswanubhavam akila shutasaram ekam adhyatma deepam atitir shatam tamundam samsarinam karunayaha purana guhyam tam vyasa sunumupya upayami gurum muninam. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, that's Shuka, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge, after having personally assimilated it by experience. Bhanuswami's translation explained based on the purports of Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. I surrender to the son of Vyas the incomparable Guru of all the sages, who mercifully spoke the Purana, full of hidden meanings, the essence of all scriptures, the essence of hearing for all people of this world, even in the future, who spoke the Bhagavatam, which revealed the excellence of rasa to Shukadev, and which is the revealer of Atma for those desiring to cross dense ignorance with ease. If you look at the text here, it says, this Swa-Anubhava, who self-assimilated or experienced, Akila Shruti Saram. Saram means cream or essence of something, of the Shrutis, meaning the Vedas. Akila, all around, comprehensive. This part shows up in Prabhupada's translation at the very end. And then Adhyatmadipa, well, you can see in the word for word, transcendental torchlight. So it illuminates this darkness of ignorance, it's the torchlight of knowledge. The spiritual master opens our eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Adhyatmadipa. For those who are atiti tirshatam, desiring to overcome. This is an interesting verbal form in Sanskrit, showing what you desire, desiderative it's called. Tama andam, the deeply dark material existence. Samsarinam, of materialistic men. Those who are in samsara. And then karunaya, out of causeless mercy. So he spoke this this Purana, which in the word for word see is a supplement to the Vedas, which is guhyam, confidential, secret, really hidden, secret, but Prabhupada says when something is confidential, not everyone will be able to appreciate it. And then was spoken to him here's that Vyasa Sunam, the son of Vyasadeva. So then I'm offering, here's the beginning of the text, right? I'm offering obeisances, upayami, to him, who is the Guru Muninam, the Guru of all the sages. So that's why that seems quite different. And Bhanu Swami starts, I surrender to the son of Vyasadeva, the incomparable Guru of all the sages, who mercifully spoke the Purana full of hidden meanings. So when it says this, the Purana Guhyam is confidential, secret. So that's what it's full of hidden meanings. And so they bring out that hidden meaning so you can be enlightened. And then it's the essence of hearing. Saram, ekam, the word sara, cream, is essence. Shruti saram, the essence of the shrutis, the cream of the essence of the scriptures and the essence of hearing for all the people of the world, even in the future. Anyway, this is his understanding here. Not quite sure. Who spoke the Bhagavatam, which revealed the essence of rasa to Sukadeva. Well, that's the saram there, the essence of rasa, who is the revealer of Atma, for those desiring to cross dense ignorant with ease. Anyway, we'll see the purports. I'll read Prabhupada's purport here. It's easier to do on the screen, actually. I don't have to put on my glasses. In this prayer, Srila Sutta Goswami practically summarizes the complete introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural, supplementary commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. The Vedanta Sutras, or the Brahma Sutras, were compiled by Vyasa with a view to presenting just the cream of Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on this cream. There's a story behind that. Shall I stop now and tell this? Because we finally got a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra when we were challenged because we didn't have one, our sampradaya. And it was not thought to have one for a long time because we considered this is the commentary. Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on the cream of the Vedic literature, on the Vedanta Sutra. But when it came about, there was a controversy and an assembly of sages, and we weren't allowed. And therefore, his name just came out of my head. Who wrote the commentary? Baladev Vijayabhushana wrote the commentary, and therefore we were accepted as a bona fide sampradaya, because you had to have one. But it wasn't done until fairly late, 18th century, because of this idea that this is the essence of the Vedanta Sutra here. So this is the natural commentary. Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a thoroughly realized master of the Vedanta Sutra, and consequently he also personally realized the commentary Srimad Bhagavatam. When Prabhupada says realized knowledge, it means it's experience knowledge. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmam. It gives you that direct perception. And just to show his boundless mercy upon bewildered materialistic men who want to cross completely over nescience, he recited for the first time this confidential knowledge. Then Prabhupada goes on, there's no point in arguing that a materialistic man can be happy. No materialistic creature, be he the great Brahma or an insignificant ant, can be happy. Now remember, Prabhupada's coming to the West with these books that he translated into English for the first time and tell us that we're not happy. Everyone tries to make but he explains now why we're not happy. Everyone tries to make a permanent plan for happiness, but everyone is baffled by the laws of material nature. Why is that? Well, birth, death, old age, and disease, right? Take care of that problem. Don't get old. Don't die. Don't get sick. Therefore, the materialistic world is called the darkest region of God's creation. Yet the unhappy materialist can get out of it simply by desiring to get out. Unfortunately, they are so foolish that they do not want to escape. Therefore, they are compared to the camel, who relishes thorny twigs because he likes the taste of the twigs mixed with blood. He does not realize that it is his own blood and that his tongue is being cut by the thorns. Similarly, to the materialist, his own blood is as sweet as honey. And although he is always, I say harassed, some people say harassed, but harassed by his own material creations, he does not wish to escape. Such materialists are called karmis. Out of hundreds of thousands of karmis, only a few may feel tired of material engagement and desire to get out of the labyrinth. Such intelligent persons are called jnanis, which you should really say jnanis. If you want to say it in Sanskrit, everybody says jnanis, but jnanis. The Vedanta Sutra is directed towards such jnanis, but Srila Vyasadeva, being an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, could foresee the misuse of the Vedanta Sutra by unscrupulous men, and therefore he personally supplemented the Vedanta Sutra with the Bhagavata Purana. When it talks about the misuse of Vedanta Sutra by unscrupulous men, he means the widespread idea that it teaches that you are God, or that there is only one thing, this monism, and that if it's all one, you are also God. This has become, when I first went to university courses in Hinduism, this was taught as standard Hinduism, the Ramakrishna Mission version of Vedanta. And so that, the ignorance is you don't know your God. This is what Prabhupada's referring to. And so that was a new idea to us who have, studied Vedanta before, read the sutras or had classes in it and stuff like that. Or the Ramakrishna Mission had been in America for several decades. And they told everybody this is what Hinduism is. So you can be a Jnani, but then you get misled. You want spiritual knowledge, you want Jnana Yoga, what they call Jnana Yoga. And they taught you that, Jnana Yoga is for the intelligent, Bhakti Yoga is for the emotional, and Karma Yoga is for the active. That's what they said. So therefore, this is why this Bhagavad Purana is given as the supplement to the Vedanta Sutra. I go on now. It is clearly said that this Bhagavatam is the original commentary on the Brahma Sutra. Srila Vyasadeva also instructed the Bhagavatam to his own son, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who was already at the liberated stage of transcendence. Srila Shukadeva realized it personally and then explained it. By the mercy of Srila Shukadeva, the Bhagavata Vedanta Sutra, you notice now it's the Vedanta Sutra, but it's the Bhagavata Vedanta Sutra, is available for all those sincere souls who want to get out of material existence. Srimad Bhagavatam is the one unrivaled commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Sripad Shankaracharya intentionally did not touch it, that is the Bhagavatam, because he knew that the natural commentary would be difficult for him to surpass. So now they're saying what the Mayavada philosophy comes from is Shankaracharya, who did this. He wrote his Shariraka Bhashya, that's his commentary, the commentary for those who are embodied, Shariraka Bhashya, and his so-called followers deprecate the Bhagavatam as some new presentation. New is in quotation marks. One should not be misled by such propaganda directed against the Bhagavatam by the Mayavada school. So now is where they say Mayavada. From this introductory shloka, the beginning student should know that Srimad Bhagavatam is the only transcendental literature meant for those who are Paramahamsas and completely freed from the material disease called malice. The Mayavadis are envious of the personality of Godhead, despite Sripad Shankaracharya's admission that Narayana, the personality of Godhead, is above the material creation. He does say that one place. The envious Mayavadis cannot have access to the Bhagavatam, but those who are really anxious to get out of this material existence may take shelter of this Bhagavatam because it is uttered by the liberated Srila Shukadev Goswami. It is the transcendental torchlight by which one can see perfectly the transcendental absolute truth realized as Brahman Paramatma Bhagavan. So this is really, when I first came to visit a Krishna temple, and by then I was in graduate religious studies, and I had 3 Hinduism courses, by the way, all taught by Ramakrishna type people. And I thought, when I was chanting Hare Krishna, and I thought that somehow or other, we would go beyond Krishna. And so I asked about that, and someone said, the guy I asked the question to said, I said, we will eventually come to see that light. He said, no, the light is coming from Krishna. Krishna's beyond that light. And that was like the first I ever heard that idea. That light is coming from Krishna. And actually when he said that, something shattered in my brain. I didn't expect, it just happened, I didn't change my mind. That idea that there was nothing beyond that light and that Krishna was some kind of temporary imposition that we put it on it to get to it, just shattered, just with those words. I mean, that was my experience, and others too also. There was some potency in these devotees who were, at that time, there were not many senior people around. You didn't have time to be senior. Anyway, this is why Prabhupada, and then when Prabhupada comes to America, who does he find, Swami Nityananda in New York City, preaching the Ramakrishna mission, and Swami Nityananda used to dress up because he came and he was teaching in our university. He had a PhD. He dressed like a 1930s English barrister, 3-piece pinstripe suit, with a vest and a place for a pocket watch, and he had a pocket watch. in the West. And when Prabhupada met him, I heard this later, he suggested to Srila Prabhupada that he should learn how to eat with a knife, fork, and spoon, and if you wanted to be successful, and dress in Western clothes. And Prabhupada didn't do that. This is heard about this from the devotees, because they knew he was called the Uptown Swami, because the fancy people on the Upper East Side were going to him, and Prabhupada was on the Lower East Side, so he was the Downtown Swami. That became it was. Anyway, so that's why Prabhupada wants to say here, talk about the Mayavada school, because we are all Mayavadi. When he was, they said when he was criticizing the Mayavadis, he thought, oh, isn't that cute? There's some people in India he's having some theological battle with, and then they realized he was talking about us. So here we have another commentary on this verse. Yeah. I surrender to the son of Vyasa. Yeah. Okay, that's the translation that's based on this commentary. This is Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. The commentary says, he says that the reason for Shukadev's inspiring sutta is his mercy. He should not only deliver Parikshit, but he should deliver all the persons born in this world in the future. At that moment, Sutta remembered all the future generations. And for those who desire to cross the Satititirshatam, the dense undam, ignorance, tamaha, with great ease, atti, Bhagavatam causes revelation, deepa, the light, of the jiva, who's called here adhyatma in the verse. He who controls adhi, the elements of the body, such as mahatattva. This refers to the secondary result of the Bhagavatam, destruction of ignorance for the desires of liberation. In other words, the main thing is you get Krishna prema. The secondary result is the destruction of ignorance and liberation. So if you just want liberation, you can get that. But if you want the real thing, you have to get a little deeper. For the pure devotees, Bhagavatam contains the essence of all the Shrutis, of all the Upanishads, and taking another meaning of Shruti, Bhagavatam is the essence for those who relish with the ear, Shruti, by hearing. This is indicated by 113, last chapter, where Bhagavatam is said to be the ripened fruit of the tree of the Vedas. For Shukadev as well, Bhagavatam reveals the power of abundant rasa, anubhavam. Thus it is said, and now he quotes from Bhagavatam 12:12-69. I'll just read the translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, the son of Vyasadeva, Shukadeva Goswami, who destroys all sins, and who, though fixed in his own bliss with no distraction, became attracted to the pastimes of Krishna and mercifully spread the Bhagavatam, which describes Krishna and reveals the rasa of his pastimes. Remember, that's also said that because Sukadeva was already liberated and always peaceful in himself, had no material desires, didn't want anything, but then when he heard, or really overheard, the recitation of the Bhagavatam, he got attracted. So that's why that shows that this is not a material attraction. And he quotes this 12:12:69. It is also said, Harer gunak shipta matir, his mind also became attracted to the quality of the Lord by studying the Bhagavatam. And the translation then from 2:1:9 he says, O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. So he himself says that. It gives another meaning of swa anubhavam. It can also mean that which produced Shukadev's power. This explanation indicates that Bhagavatam made Shukadev superior to all other sages. Ekam means incomparable, without a second. Shukadev became the guru of all the sages such as Narada and Vyas, who was situated in the assembly of Parikshit and taught them Bhagavatam as if they had not heard before. The Bhagavatam must be taught to them as well. And then he just mentions the Tattva Sandarbha, that Jiva Goswami has pointed this out. So I'm just, for your sake, there's that really interesting purport, which I can't tell you too much more about that, but there it is. We all have so much more to learn, to read all those commentaries. So here he's paid these obeisances to Shuka, to Vyasa Suna. And now that was 3, okay. So now, text 4. We know this verse. Actually, we used to recite it a lot. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. The translation here, before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So that's a really simpler verse now. Bhanu Swami's translation, different, and there's Prabhupada's purport and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's very different purport, because I hear Prabhupada's intended audience is one thing and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's audience is another thing, but we should read both of them. So Bhanu Swami says, so this is why this translation is really different, because it's based on another commentary. After offering respectful obeisances unto the presiding deities Narayan Rishi, okay, we're together on that one, unto the subject of the work Krishna, unto the Shakti of the work Saraswati, and unto the sage entrusted with the work Srila Vyasadeva, one should utter Jai. So you can see this, Narayanam namaskritya, after offering obeisance unto Narayan, and unto Nara, which here is dedicated, denotes Narayana Rishi, who is Nara Uttama, the supermost human being, and then to Devim Saraswatim, see in the word for word, the mistress of learning, the goddess of learning, and to Vyasadeva, this is meant for conquering. Jayamudaryat. You should say Jai. It's a different, another way to read. You should, after doing it, say Jai. That's really different. So here's Prabhupada's purport. Which is simple. All the Vedic literatures and the Puranas are meant for conquering the darkest region of material existence. So that's what's conquering, huh? You have to conquer the darkest region of material existence. The living being is in a state of forgetfulness of his relationship with God due to his being overly attracted to material sense gratification from time immemorial. That's the darkness. His struggle for existence in the material world is perpetual, and it is not possible for him to get out of it by making plans. If he at all wants to conquer this perpetual struggle for existence, he must reestablish his eternal relationship with God. And one who wants to adopt such remedial measures must take shelter of literatures such as the Vedas and the Puranas. Foolish people say that the Puranas have no connection with the Vedas. However, the Puranas are supplementary explanation of the Vedas intended for different types of men. All men are not equal. All men are created equal, endowed with the Creator with an element. Here he says all men are not equal, like a contradiction of the preamble to there are men who are conducted by the mode of goodness, others who are under the mode of passion, and others who are under the mode of ignorance. Because there's 18 Puranas, 6 for those in the mode of goodness, 6 for those in the mode of passion, 6 for those in the mode of ignorance. These are the major Puranas. Then there are many more Puranas and Upa-Puranas and so on. But of the basic Puranas, this is what he's talking to. Those intended for those in the mode of goodness, mode of passion, and those in the mode of ignorance. The Puranas are so divided that any class of men can take advantage of them and gradually regain their lost position and get out of the hard struggle for existence. Srila Sutta Goswami shows the way of chanting the Puranas. This may be followed by persons who aspire to be preachers of the Vedic literature and the Puranas. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana, and it is especially meant for those who desire to get out of the material entanglement permanently. There has this short little purport to this. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport. Okay. Now, I'm going to add some footnotes in brackets to this from Bhanuswami into the purport. His commentary is, having offered respects to Guru, Sutta offers respects to Devata, presiding deity, etc. Nara Narayan are designated as the presiding deities of this work since they have authority over the place. Narayanam, Namaskritya, offering obeisance to Narayan, Nara Narayan. Now, when he says they have authority over a place, that means that Bhanuswami points out that this is in footnotes to this commentary. Vyas first wrote the work at Badarik Ashrama, where Nara Narayan presides. So you have to offer deities first. The presiding deity, that's in the residence, so that's why we're calling it that. Because Nara Narayan preside over that place where he wrote. You have first offer respects to the place. The Devata, or subject of the Bhagavatam, is Krishna, Narottama. Okay, so that's okay. Then Saraswati is the Shakti. Devam Saraswatim. Saraswati is the Shakti, the potency. This, he says, this Saraswati is not the material deity. It is in the spiritual world, exists counterparts to the devatas of the material world who assist the Lord in his pastimes there. For instance, Divya Saraswati gives Krishna mantra to Brahma in the Brahma Samhita. I was going to look this up, but I couldn't find my Brahma Samhita copy. So, but anyway, he says there's a material Saraswati, the goddess of learning, who all the students in India pray to before their exam for some material result. And then there's the spiritual Saraswati. They all have there's Lakshmi and there's Lakshmi. There's Lady Luck and there's the consort of Vishnu, right? So they have their material and spiritual counterparts. Then he says the word Cha indicates the Rishi, sage of the work, Vyasa. So somehow he knows that this Cha and indicates Vyasa. Because and the reason for that, because Bhanuswami says, before reciting, now he's giving the whole reason for this recitation. Before reciting a mantra or a scripture, it is customary to utter the name of the sage who revealed the mantra, in this case Vyasa, who's simply indicated by Cha. Because everybody knows. I assume that's the reason. So anyway, to utter the name of the sage who revealed the mantra, the meter, Gayatri, the feminine noun, the form of the Lord who is the subject of the mantra, Krishna, the bija of the work or the mantra, the bija mantra being Om, the Shakti of the work or mantra, Saraswati, and the Adhistatri Devata. Adhistatri Devata means a presiding or tutelary deity. A tutelary deity is a god or goddess who presides over certain areas. So the Adhistatri Devata is Narayan, and then the purpose of uttering the mantra. So that's when this without these footnotes you wouldn't know what he's talking about. So he says, some editions have the word vyasam instead of chaiva. So where it says chaiva, so he says here now, in some editions where it says cha designating vyasa, some editions have that. So just that makes the meaning clear of cha. So he's got a reason for saying that. The bija is Om. The meter is predominantly Gayatri, since the first verse of Bhagavatam begins with Om and refers to Gayatri. Having offered respects to these persons, one should utter Jai. This is a verb form, calling out to Krishna with raised hands. Jai Shri Krishna! Victory to Krishna. By using the potential case, I'm not sure what he means by potential case, but some grammar idea of calling out or something like that. Sutta teaches other sages of the Puranas to do the same. So, see, this is why Sutta's directing this to other sages of the Puranas who are sitting around listening to that's his audience. Prabhupada's audience is different, so that accounts for the difference in the purports. Jai also refers to this scripture because one can conquer samsara by studying it. So the meaning would be, that is of Jai, is one should then speak the Bhagavatam. In this verse, since the verb form namaskritya indicates that another action immediately follows, the word tataha, with the meaning of next or then, would be superfluous. Thus, tataha describes the subject of the sentence. Tataha is a past participle of tan, to speak, words, to speak. Therefore, tato jayam udirayat means the speaker should utter jaya. That is the opinion of some. Anyway, I find that kind of charming. Okay, I thought I'd get a little further along on that one. But I think probably we should. But I just wanted to make sure that that's why when you see two purports are very different, because you can see where Prabhupada has got a completely different audience in mind, and his purport for this is therefore telling us what we need to know. Okay, we'll open it up for questions and comments.
If you are on Facebook and you have a comment or question or some sort of reflection, something to further this conversation, go ahead and type it into the comment section there. If you're on the phone and would like to offer something, press *6 and then we'll unmute yourself. And there's also the chat box on Ravindra Svarupa's website, RSDasa.com. That's open and running and available if anybody would like to type something in there. Starting off with a question from Vijay Krishna Prabhu. This is in relation to 1, 2, 3, where I find the synonyms deepam, torchlight, tamaha undam, deeply dark material existence, and gurum, the spiritual master. In accordance with the translation to this verse, material darkness exists in order to make it difficult for all the varnas and ashramas. My question is it that in Vedic civilization, the ones of inferior birth are allowed to accept a spiritual master? How does it happen for a Shudra? Or worse than that, how does it happen for an outcast? Are they candidates for spiritual initiation? Or is it that Lord Chaitanya, with his congregational movement, changed all the rules?
Well, it says in the Bible, you shall not cast pearls before swine, or give what is holy unto dogs. So you have to see that people are qualified. The force of Lord Chaitanya's movement is it can make people qualified. So you start that way to make people qualified, because the practice of simply, how is God available to you if you're not qualified at all? Where is he? What do? You don't like to go into churches. You don't like to go into houses of worship. You don't hate all those stuffy, snobby people who go to church and look down on you. But the thing is, God is available simply in this way. I may have mentioned before that when I was a graduate student in religious studies, one professor had said, the real question is not does God exist, but is God available? And I remembered that, because if he exists and is not available, what difference does it make? And if he's available, that solves the existence question. So out of Lord Chaitanya's mercy, he's available. Even if you're standing on a street corner chanting Hare Krishna and people hear it, it does something to them. It may take a while, but it does something. You make some spiritual progress. And remember, if you make even a little spiritual progress, at least your next birth will be human, and you can pick up where you left off. So that's what we're, because here is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which names Krishna and Krishna's energies, and you can't ask for anything more portable than that. Or, well, we got these big books to read and to remember, but really, all you got to remember is Hare Krishna and Rama. 3 simple words. But then you can chant like that, and then gradually, if you stay at it, a little determination is required. The more you do it, repeat it, and pay attention. Even if you get bored or restless, you simply pay attention. By paying attention, you show Krishna you have some interest. Maybe the interest is material, but still you pay attention. Krishna pays attention back to you. And with some practice, then you start to see that the modes of passion and the modes of ignorance start to decrease. Because in the modes of passion and modes of ignorance, you can't understand much of anything. Our standard of advancement in America is the standard of the mode of passion. The result of the mode of passion is misery. And the way people deal with misery, since they don't know anything about the mode of goodness, is to go to the mode of ignorance and take intoxicants and look at for oblivion and suicide and intoxicants, heroin and all those kind of things. You don't want that path. But if you just pay attention a little bit, then those modes of ignorance and passion will go away. And then as they do, you increase a little more, increase a little more.
Vijay Krishna Prabhu also asks, related to 123, where I find the translation saying, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists, my question is, how indispensable is the compassion of a saint? How much it is needed, and what happens if I say yes to this saint, to the saint's good intentions?
I think I just answered that question too. That saint will give you something that you can do, and you say yes by taking it up or rendering some service to that saint in some way.
One more from Vijay Krishna Prabhu. He says, also related to 123, where I find the translation also saying, spoke this most confidential supplement. My question is, how confidential the process of Bhakti Yoga is when I see the Hare Krishnas distributing to everyone without charging. I'm confused. Any help?
Prabhupada says the word confidential means not everyone will be able to appreciate it. That's what confidential is. So that's the meaning. So you can have it and people just won't recognize it or appreciate it or accept it. So that's confidential. It's a secret, but it's an open secret. We will not make you go through 4 years of college, whatever.
Do the impersonalists accept the Srimad Bhagavatam, and do they accept what is their view regarding the fact that Shankaracharya did not comment on it? Thank you.
They think that it must have been later than Shankaracharya's time that it was composed. That's their usual take on it. If he had known about it, he would have done it, but he didn't. So that's what they think. What was the other part of the question?
Do the impersonalists accept Srimad Bhagavatam, and do they accept what is their view regarding the fact that Shankaracharya did not comment on it?
Yeah, well, at that part. They accept it in the sense that it's meant for people who are emotional. Like stories, I mean, the same way they like the Bhagavad Gita, but they're managed to shovel some impersonal understanding of that in. Sarvadharman pritjaja mamekam sharanam braja. These kind of things, that's a temporary state until you can become one with God.
Mm-hmm.
See, the materialistic project is actually to dominate and control others. It's your kind of little God project. Even if you can't do anything. The first person I really realized, I thought of when I thought that everybody had a God project, was this office I worked in, and there was this secretary who had to, get coffee for everybody and do all kinds of stuff. But the only thing, she had the key to the supply closet. And if you wanted more paper or staples or whatever, you had to go to her and ask for it. And if you were not nice to her, if you did not pay your dandavats, if you did not You know, if you fell on their bad side, you had to go buy your own supplies. So she was the older and controller. The Lord of all I survey, and she just surveyed a little bit. And people want to be bigger things they survey. They go into politics and business, and somehow they can prove they're better than everybody else. They get, men get trophy wives. They get yachts to show off, and it's mostly just to get other people envious of them and acknowledge that they're better than everybody else and want what you have, and they can't have it, and that's because they're inferior and you're superior. That's your God project.
Just a few comments here. Gaura Shakti Prabhu says, Dear Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much for class today. It's my favorite part of Sunday.
Thank you.
And Devadarana Devidasi says, Thank you, dear soul, Ravindra Svarupa. Infinite dandavats to you. And she says, All glories to Srila Prabhupada and to the glorious disciplic succession. Ki Jai, 3 exclamation
Jai
points.
for that too.
I think that's it for today.
Okay. So then we will pick up, let me see where okay. Text number 3, where go?
5.
Oh, excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong one. Thank you very much. 5, text 5, yeah, text number 5. We'll pick up where I thought, okay, all right, good. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Text 5. Munaya sadhu. It says sadhu. That's how you say things are good. Sadhu, sadhu. Until then, looking forward to it. Hare Krishna.